And for more on the Wahoos, we go to the third member of our broadcast team, Bridget Scaturro.
Thanks, Channing. Now, I spoke to Coach Boyle earlier today, and she referred to Dominique Toussaint as the light and the energy of this team. Now, as you can see, the sophomores have already produced a lot more output this season than they did last year. So it'll be interesting to see what the sophomores can do tonight. What's your strategy going into the second half?
I think more of the same. I think as the game went on, we got more chances. We have to be careful of their number 7 playing between our lines, getting the ball turning and slipping 9 and 13. For us, we got to be real careful with that. To do that, we got to get pressure on their center backs.
Thank you, Coach. Hey Wahoo fans, and welcome to a special edition of the Orange and Blue Report presented by the UVA Health System. I'm Bridget Scaturro here with UVA squash captain Mason Blake. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Now you've been captain for 3 years. How's it feel to be captain for so long?
It's been a learning experience. I think I've kind of built off each year.
How's the team feel going into the Invitational this weekend?
Really confident. We're coming off a 4-0 weekend last weekend up in Boston.
Now, playing against Miami has a lot more to do than just winning at this point. Miami's been displaced a lot by Hurricane Irma recently, but you showed the women's team a lot of hospitality on Tuesday night by hosting the team for dinner at your house. Tell me about what inspired you to host a team that you're about to face off.
Well, I know their coach very well, and Mary had talked to me a little bit about some of the things they were going through. Last week when she talked about school wouldn't start for another week.
Now you're playing UNC on Sunday. Tell me about how your strategy is going to be different going into that game.
It'll be a little different game. I think the last 3 games we've had teams that have played us in a they've dropped back and played a real low block.
Now you're only a few weeks into spring ball, but practice is clearly already in full force. What is the team focusing on this year to hopefully make it to another bowl game?
Yeah, so I think another huge emphasis is, never being complacent.
Talk about how the Virginia offense is going to change this season with such a mobile quarterback.
Yeah, so, Bryce has come in, he's done a great job so far.
And now what are your personal goals for this offseason?
Just get stronger, get better every day.
Thank you so much for joining me, Evan. Now, Cavalier fans, you can join the Virginia football team on April 28th for their spring football game. Go Hoos! On August 28, 2016, Colin Kaepernick made news headlines for sitting during the national anthem at the 49ers' 3rd preseason game. Kaepernick revealed to the media after the game that he sat because of the oppressed people of color and ongoing issues with police brutality. With such a simple act, Kaepernick created a movement, as athletes across sports began sitting or kneeling during the national anthem. The United States broke into an uproar as fans saw this act as disrespectful towards the nation and the veterans who served it. However, Sean Doolittle, relief pitcher for the Washington Nationals, saw it differently. Sean was a 2-way player at the University of Virginia before moving up to the league after his 3rd year at UVA. Sean was raised in a military family and holds a deep respect for veterans very close to his heart. For him, it is not disrespectful for athletes to kneel during the national anthem, but rather, it is disappointing that athletes lack a reason to stand.
We're realizing now, I think, for the first time in a long time, that none of the stuff that's happening right now is happening in a vacuum. Parts of our world that we never considered are crossing political boundaries, and they're crossing into sports, and everything's starting to become a lot more intertwined.
In an op-ed discussing proper treatment for veterans that Sean published with his then-fiancée, Erin Dolan, they wrote, "One argument is that it's disrespectful for those who served not to stand. If we're going to honor them, the national anthem and God Bless America shouldn't be the only times we stand up for them."
The athletes who are kneeling are really their message is finally starting to be heard. They're putting action behind their message. We're seeing people work with community organizers. We're seeing athletes reach out to police officers. We're seeing them meet with legislators and policymakers and go to maybe the state capitol.
While Sean debated the controversies occurring in sports nationwide, he took a moment to acknowledge the protests that occurred this past summer in his former home of Charlottesville.
It was very surreal to see the protests and the torches and all of that stuff play out against the backdrop of this school, and it seemed really out of place, and it really bothered me. I think the response to see from the community was inspiring in face of that kind of hatred, and I think the way that the UVA community and the city of Charlottesville has continued on and continued to spread love and be that welcoming, inclusive place is the best response that you could possibly give.